That's the laser one. Yeah, just do the right hand.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go over the teaching part. We spent 5 days, August 5th to the 11th. It ran from Wednesday to Tuesday at a school called Golden Deer Pond School. Our task was our official task was to teach English to these students. We weren't allowed to directly share the gospel, so we could only indirectly show the love of Christ to these students. So we prayed that as we taught, that we would really love these students as God loves them. We also prayed that we would stir their curiosity of why we, as random foreigners, would come and teach English to them. We also prayed that through our visit there, we would potentially connect these students to the Chunbori Center and the Connected Church there. So to ensure that we did the best we could in teaching English to these students, we prepared for this task by creating detailed lesson plans for grades 5 to 9. The lessons were connected so that the last day was a culminating activity that combined the whole week's worth of material. We wanted to make sure that we had these lessons prepared so that once we got to Thailand, we could focus on loving these students and not worry or think so much about what to teach. So we practiced the lessons on a couple of meeting times with our teaching partners. Sang and Rebecca were partners, Pastor David and Susie, Erica and Sam, and then Paul and me. We were to teach our own lessons to maximize the number of teaching teams. So even with great preparation, we knew that there was always room for last-minute changes and surprises, and lo and behold, we had some major changes that we needed to adjust to. No longer were we teaching grades 5 to 9, but now we were teaching all grades 1 through 9, which meant that the lessons we prepared would be too advanced for some of the younger kids. So then Paul and I had to combine forces to make a team, and Paul and I, we butt heads a lot. So that was a huge thing for me. And we also didn't practice as a team together before we went, so we kind of had to figure out our roles as a team there. But by the grace of God, we worked through and overcame these challenges. Erica and I had prior teaching experience in the classroom, so our teams, Sam and Erica, Paul and I, took on the younger students because we had to make new lesson plans while we were there, or to improvise on the plans that we had. So it was really important for us to actually, the night before, lesson plan together. That's a picture of us lying around lesson planning. Every night before a school day, we met in the evening to review the next day's lesson plan. We also needed to create new ones for the younger students. So we all put our heads together to help each other so that we could really do our best for God. So then, this is on our first day. The school is called Golden Deer Pond. I'm not going to attempt the Thai. It housed grades kindergarten to 9. There's one class per grade. So it's a pretty small school in the sense of just like 25 students per class. And then as they got older, the class sizes actually got smaller. The students' English teacher had left the previous semester, and so the students really had very little knowledge of English. And so we went that day not knowing much of what to expect, but we were greeted really warmly and treated like royalty as soon as we arrived. This is also what the school looks like. So the typical day, school started at 8:30. Each team taught 2 grades each for 2 hours. Paul and I taught an additional class, the first graders, for just 1 extra hour. We had lunch from 11:30 to 12:30, then finished teaching at 2:30 for the most part, and some days Paul and I had to teach till 3:30. So as we arrived at school a little before 8:30, we saw our students arriving to school. In America, we walk to school, get a ride from our parents, take the bus. In Thailand, they walk or take motorcycles to school. And oftentimes, we would see 4 or 5 people on one motorcycle. It was pretty crazy. Every morning they had morning lineup. It's a morning assembly, I guess, with announcements and songs and stuff. And when we walked in, the class leader, in Korean I guess is 앉아, right, would lead the class to get up and greet us with "Good morning, teacher." So that's me and Paul on the first day. All right, so as Susie mentioned, Thai names are really long. So what they actually do is they take the last syllable of like their multisyllabic name, and it's their nickname. It's a very intricate language, and we don't have certain sounds in English, and it's like different tones and stuff like that. So a word like pa could mean one thing, and then pa could mean something completely different. So we had a lot of difficulty learning their names. We even brought name tags so that we would remember the names, but it took like Paul and I, probably in our first class, like a good 45 minutes just to get their names and write it down, because our students were, I think, in second grade, and they didn't have any knowledge of the alphabet. So we're sitting there like, what's your name? What's your name? Like 10 times, and eventually finally got it. But it took a lot of trial and error.